Welcome back to the Unanimous Decision Podcast. I am your host, D-Palm. Follow me on Twitter at DPalm66. Follow the show on Twitter at UDPod. Follow the entire MTR network at the MTR network. You found us. Don't lose us. Subscribe in the iTunes store. Subscribe anywhere you can get your podcast for absolutely free. While you're subscribing, leave that 5-star review. Leave a 4-star. I won't read it, but leave a 5-star. I'll read anything that you write, even if it's mean about me as a person, myself, the podcast as an organization, or my teams as the screaming disappointments they've always been and always will be. That's all the housekeeping I want to do, man. It's so good to be back behind the mic. It's so good to be talking sports. Like, it's crazy. July's a crazy month for me because, like, all both my parents' birthdays fall in July. My wife's birthday's in July. My birthday's in July. Like, it's one of those things where it's a fun month to be alive for me. And the most fun I have is getting behind this microphone and talking about sports. But it's also the deadest time about sports. Like, there's nothing really to talk about. Well, at least I thought that before I started putting the day's show together. And episode 99, we've come a long way. We're talking about that in a second. But first, I want to introduce my guest today, the homie Mike. What up, Mike? How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back.
Thanks for coming on for 99, man. This is crazy because I was doing, like, the numbers, and spoilers, we've done more than 99 shows in this feed. Like, we've got the dope talks. We've got all those the in-season quickies that I do for football. But for the numbered episodes, we got 100 coming up. And, that's a little weird for me. Like, this is the third show I've taken to 100 episodes.
Congratulations, man.
I just think I talk too much.
Well,
It's nuts, man. But it's been a lot of fun, and I'm gonna get reflective about it next week. But yeah, this is it's just one of those things that you don't think about milestones. You hit milestones, and I guess I'm creeping up on one right now. But we're doing something different for episode 100, and I'm gonna need the listeners' help. So I'm gonna do a solo show, and I'm gonna talk about obviously the stories that come up, but I also want to have some fun because I did one of those very narcissistic Instagram question and answer things on my birthday. It is actually a lot of fun, and so we do something similar here. So if you can get your tweets out to me, or if you're in the Facebook group, send me a message there, or on Twitter, tweet me at dpalm66 and ask me some questions. I don't know, man. Ask me anything you want to know. I'm gonna have fun. 100 is not gonna be some crazy analytical thing. We got podcast week. The invitations are out. That's coming in August. Like, football season, I got an announcement for episode 100 that's going to come. And if you're an avid listener, if you want to be involved in a potential losing to me situation again, then maybe you want to listen to 100 as soon as it drops. But yeah, we're ready to go, and it's exciting times. But Mike, I didn't bring you on to talk about things that are about to happen. I'm talking about things that have happened. And I got to be honest, for a quiet sports month, this just gotten kind of crazy.
Yeah. Not a lot's supposed to be going on, but it seems like a lot's going on for sports that aren't even in season.
Well, let's talk about the ones that are in season, the one, I guess, that is in season that no one's going to talk about, because it was All-Star Week, Mike, and you live in D.C., and how did you figure out it was All-Star Week in D.C.?
I think I saw them moving some stuff for the All-Star celebration, and I was like, oh, I guess that's here. When is it? Oh, tomorrow? All right. So you can tell I really pay attention.
Well, I mean, but that's kind of like, was it the tenor of the city where people really oh, wow, the All-Star games was there I know sometimes the cities will get when the All-Star game for basketball was in Atlanta, there was an energy in Atlanta.
Right, and I lived in Atlanta for that, and it was totally different. I mean, NBA All-Star Weekend takes over the city. I don't live anywhere near the stadium, so maybe I just missed out on all of that, but yeah, I wasn't really seeing much of it just in my day-to-day life here.
Well, I got to say, I live a life where I interact with a lot of people. I talk to my friends all the time, and we had zero conversations about the All-Star game. And apparently we missed a pretty good week. Like, Bryce Harper, the hometown kid, he had, I guess, a rule-breaking, quote-unquote, winner of the home run derby, kind of down to the wire with his dad pitching to him. A lot of great storylines there. The All-Star game apparently went into extra innings, as I learned through my light Googling to get ready for this show, and apparently was interesting as all hell. But the story that came out of that we're going to talk about later was mostly about some tweets. Is this I know that I've talked about how baseball's gone from being a national game to a regional one like that. And even a regional one, it's super regional. It's like the Braves' regional footprint, since TBS is no longer the super station that took over the country, it's much smaller now. Couple that with the move to Cobb County, I don't know what the Braves fan base is right now, because yeah, they say, oh, these people will come and they'll travel more to the stadium, but they're not. And I'm watching the numbers do what the numbers do, and I'm watching my local team that has been a staple in the city for all of my life kind of fall by the wayside. Is this a situation where, and I don't know if you saw the baseball kind of blamed their biggest and best player, Mike Trout, like if Mike Trout were more invested in doing the extra things, we could. What the hell is this? Like, why is your commissioner sending shots at Mike Trout? It's the weirdest situation ever. Like, it's the MLB All-Star Week. There's nothing else going on. There's the fucking ESPYs that no one cares about. They put them there because it's the deadest week in sports. You have a chance to own that week. And what do? You fumble. And that, I mean, am I right? Like, the main stories coming out of this All-Star game are the commissioner shooting at the best player, the best player's team shooting back at the commissioner, and a player's racist tweets.
No, not at all. I mean, yeah, they mess this up completely. Every other sport during their All-Star weekend, it's nothing but love. All the stories are pretty good. It's about the celebration. And this one, like, I heard more about everything but the All-Star game than the All-Star game.
It's so wild. And for me, it's one of those things where, what does the other teams, other leagues do best in the All-Star game? One of the things they do is they involve the history of the game, particularly the NBA. Who trades on their history more than baseball? Why isn't that a bigger deal? Why aren't we doing Hall of Fame this weekend? Why aren't we making it more accessible to even the lapsed baseball fan? I am literally a lapsed baseball fan in that I couldn't care less about baseball.
Same.
But, like, if you said, hey, we're going to be honoring the 96 Braves, I'm probably tuning in. I'm a very simple man. If you start evoking teams of my youth, hey, the WWE does it every year when they try out the Hall of Famers for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Some ideas are simple because they work. I don't get why is baseball making it so hard on themselves? Did you hear what they said about their best player?
No. Oh, wait, was this he should promote himself more?
Good Lord, man. he has to make a decision to engage. It takes time and effort. We could help make his brand very big. What are you doing, Rob Manfred? First of all, no one knows your name. No one. If I polled 10 people on the street and said, who's the commissioner of Major League Baseball, I also don't know who they'd say. They might say Paul Tagliabue because people are stupid. But it's one of those things where it's just like, hey, man, he's your best player. Find ways to promote him. Kawhi Leonard was the forefront of news stories all week during a week that baseball is supposed to own, mind you. And I don't know what he sounds like. I don't know what his speaking voice sounds like. I don't. I've never heard him speak. And it's remarkable because they found a way to market him and make him part of the news cycle without him really being a willing participant. There are ways to do this. And the thing is, Mike Trout does stuff. Like, I actually looked into this, so I'm like, Mike Trout does stuff. Maybe baseball, you should just follow him around with a camera for a while.
And it would benefit the league. If they help promote him more, it would benefit them. I don't see why they're so backwards on this.
It's because I have an answer. I was going to start making excuses and trying to parse out a reasoning, but I can't do it and I won't do it. Baseball's gotten so bad, it's fallen behind NBA offseason, NFL offseason, and whatever semi-annual event taking place in the summer on a global stage. And this year, that happens to be the World Cup. Now, we don't cover the World Cup here because, honestly, it's soccer. And
come on.
I'm trying. I play FIFA. I'm trying. I'm just not there yet. I did watch some Cup. I took in the final game, and I thought it was really interesting to watch the French team win because, colonization.
A lot of black folks.
And it's so funny because you get the stick to sports crowd, and you look at soccer and the World Cup, and you're reminded that there is no level of sports that's apolitical. Whether it's a neighborhood basketball team, whether it's a high school football team that maybe recruited players or had someone over a zip code line. There is no apolitical sports.
Everything's political.
Well, I mean, that's yes, that's first of all, very, very good point. But I'm speaking particularly to the stick to sports crowd is that your sports have always been political. You just maybe didn't care because the people who were in charge or people who had a voice echoed your politics. And now that's not the case.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I saw there was a clip on Trevor from Trevor Noah on Daily Show who just complete non sequitur. He's doing. I like him better than John Stewart.
Oh, really?
I think he's a better interviewer than John Stewart was.
I like his perspective. It's a perspective we don't get.
Yeah, it's such a unique. It's the outsider view of America. It's such a unique bit. And this week he was written a letter because he'd made some jokes about the Africanness of the French national team. And he got a letter from the French ambassador, and I can't do a French accent, so I'm not going to, essentially saying, hey, you're insulting them by focusing on their Africanness. We're not like Americans. There are no divisions here. French is French. Which, okay, yeah. I mean, we all, if you don't know the hypocrisy, let's talk about it for a second. Because as Trevor so eloquently pointed out in the clip, which I'll be linking to in the show notes, if it's a negative thing, if someone happens to be killed by an immigrant or an African descendant, it becomes these immigrants are destroying our country. These immigrants are destroying France. The example he gave was the African man who climbed the tower to rescue the baby.
Yeah, that was a perfect illustration. He was like,
once he got the baby back to
the ground,
mm-hmm.
And when he got to the top, he was French.
It's tantamount to attempt at erasure. And there's a great point that he brings up that certain groups in France have been saying, go back to Africa, you immigrants, and taking away their Frenchness in a derogatory sense. And nuance matters and context matters. And in this case, saying and recognizing and acknowledging the African roots of these teams is not taking away from their Frenchness, it's accentuating their Africanness. And I thought it was just a really great discussion and something that we talked about because a lot of people are saying things like, this is why you need immigrants so you can win soccer games. I'm like, well, that's like super weird and bad.
Yeah, that's down the list of reasons, but okay.
It's on the list of reasons. Like, you don't have value as a person because you can kick a soccer ball. I'm sorry. That's not what makes immigration okay. It's seeing the equity of human beings. They're not better. You're not better or worse than because you were born over some imaginary line. It's and I'm seeing this, like, people are trying to be, I guess, smartasses to people on the right, like, this is why we need immigrants. I'm like, that's super racist and problematic. And it's just, I had to talk about it because, again, I didn't cover the World Cup. I'm not a huge World Cup guy. I'm not a huge soccer guy. But that's a discussion that started popping up that made me feel super uneasy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it gets talked about, but it doesn't get dove into that much. Yeah. I mean,
you get that surface, like, that's immigration, and you're like, yeah, wait, what'd you say? Why'd you? And I think that while that's something that's kind of divisive, or not divisive, just people aren't thinking enough about. Another thing people aren't celebrating enough is Serena Williams. Now,
yes,
I don't want to toss around the word goddess, but I think it applies here. This is the single greatest athlete of our lifetimes, possibly ever.
It's amazing.
And for anyone who says, oh, she's doing Wimbledon, you can push that person off a cliff. Because what she did, you know what she did on her way to getting to the final? She changed women's tennis again. Because they announced that they would no longer be penalizing women for maternity leave in their rankings. Because of Serena Williams. That extra money the winner made, that's because of Serena Williams. It's one of those things where I try to explain to people that the effect of a Serena or a Tiger on your sport can never be measured. They're the true greatest athletes of their sports, in Tiger's case and of all time in Serena's case. People say, well, you're overstating. I'm not overstating it. They rose every boat. Golf is on television in the way it is now because of Tiger Woods. He's playing right now, and the only thing I know is that about an hour and a half ago, he was 3 back.
Yep. I mean, are people even still debating Serena? It's
No,
pretty clear.
because so what people's happen now is they don't debate the tennis player, but if you say athlete, they're like, I don't know, and I'm like, oh, you're just a piece of shit. Oh, you could have just said that up front. I didn't realize you were a piece of shit. Thank you for clarifying the level of your shittiness. Because if you have eyeballs, it's not a question.
Not even close.
It's not. It's close. It's not even the same sport. It's ridiculous. And I just want to be. I just want to express my gratitude for living in the times where I get to watch Serena Williams do what she does. My goodness, wow.
I cannot wait till she beats Court's record. That will be very satisfying.
Oh yeah. It'll be super satisfying. Something else that's super satisfying is NCAA Media Days. And I say satisfying because I guess I'm kind of being glib. Normally I see Media Days as like a necessary evil, like everyone comes and says the same thing, best offseason ever, great new recruiting class, we got a lot of hope for the future. Hey, look at these players you don't know yet, but you're going to know them. Ha 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 ha. But this year, some people went off script. By some people, I mean Larry Fedora. Now, aside from the fact that in my head I call every person I see wearing a fedora Larry Fedora, he, so he's the head coach at UNC, and I need you guys to know something about UNC before we go into this conversation. UNC is primarily known as a basketball school. Their football team, shout out to Chad who runs their podcast over at SB Nation, good friend of the show. Come on, guys, we know.
They have a football team.
They've got a squad. They field a team. I think they might be finally Jordan brand. So Larry Fedora made some comments, and he said to the effect that there's no way to prove that that football causes CTE. I know what you're thinking, like, well, technically there isn't a causational relationship directly proven. However, the overwhelming evidence points to a direct and indistinguishable correlation. And I would agree with that. But Larry, he wasn't making that nuanced point. He was saying, stop attacking football. You know how I know he was saying stop attacking football? Because when asked to clarify, he said, stop attacking football. He didn't want to say that the reason our military is so great is because so many of these military men played high school football and that it instilled a sense of purpose and teamwork in them that cannot be replicated from any other way of life.
Wait.
No. First of all, what the fuck?
I'm sorry, our military got their teamwork from sports?
No, not sports, sir. High school football. It's really important that it's not sports. It's the fabric of he used the words fabric of America when discussing the CTE discussion. I am loath to call it a debate because you start empowering idiots like Larry Fedora, who you will always from now on picture in a fedora. Now, I keep saying the worst part because there's always any worst part. The worst part about all this, UNC is kind of a leading research institution on CTE. So not only did he flout basic knowledge and insinuate some sort of tenuous tie between high school head trauma and our military services, but he also spat in the face of his coworkers.
He doesn't care about that.
Shouldn't he, though? At a school like UNC, for a program like the football team, shouldn't you care about something like that? You're not the basketball team, and this isn't Georgia. I'm sorry. You are the third-tier team because the women's basketball team is better.
True.
Oh, no. Hold on. Debate me on that. That's if I'm ranking UNC priorities, men's basketball 1A, women's basketball 1B, 3, football.
I don't disagree.
It's one of those you got to really kind of know your situation. And Larry Fedora's shouldn't be as airtight as maybe it is. I don't know. I want to have the conversation about it because it seems to me he's don't get too comfortable. I feel like he got too comfortable.
Oh, that's classic sign of I got too comfortable. When you go off script like that.
Yo, not just go off script, but then when you ask for clarification and then stay off script.
It feels like he's been holding this in for a while and just couldn't wait to get it out. He's like, what better time than media day?
Well, what I found even more insulting, and well, I'm serious, because that, like, what he did all there was insulting. But we're also coming in off of an offseason where Washington State's quarterback Tyler Helsinki killed himself in this offseason in January. In an autopsy, showed the 21-year-old quarterback, a position notoriously known for not getting hit, already showed signs of stage 1 CTE.
But
the medical examiners, according to his father, said that Tyler had the brain of a 65-year-old, which is really hard to take.
Oof.
Did football kill Tyler? I don't think so. His mother told Sports Illustrated. Did he get CTE from football? Probably. Was that the only thing that contributed to his death? I don't know. No one's saying that football killed him.
But
no one's saying that it wasn't a contributing factor. I would have everyone to look out for this SI article. It was written by Greg Bishop. It's powerful stuff, man, because it's one thing to say, oh, we're having a thought experiment exercise where we get to make fun of Larry Fedora for ignoring science. But it's not funny when this is like, these are kids. These are grown men who don't make it. And it's not your junior seiyos all the time. It's the kid who played high school ball. Guys, these are quarterback. They get hit not very often. The linemen. Each time a lineman hits another lineman, it's the effect of a car crash. The subconcussive hits are the ones that they're talking about. These are the ones that contribute to this. And I think that's kind of what, not when I say it's going to kill, quote unquote, kill football, but I think that football does have to change. And we're going to continue to try to make a safer cigarette. And you've seen some of the targeting rules change and the the wedges be eliminated from different levels of football. But there's never going to be a point where people say, oh, it's over. We've made football safe. That's not going to happen. I think people need to realize that too. That there's never going to be a safe version of football. You just can't do it. That's not crazy, is it?
No, I mean, you can make improvements, but I don't know what you can do overall to.
Well, and the other thing is, a lot of it is we like the smoke.
It's true.
We like the energy. We like the hits. We like the violence.
Yeah, those are the highlights, right?
There's a flag football league going on right now, but Michael Vick is the quarterback of a team. I watched 27 minutes. I counted. There are no hits. It was 7-on-7. It was passing drill. It was practice. I'm like, that's cool and all, but kind of off that. And I turned it off. Me. I'm like, and for those of you who didn't know me in the early 2000s, Michael Vick Stan. Pleased to meet you. Yeah, I just I don't like it. Don't like it one bit. Something I do like is the NFL. Because, hey, they're not paid enough, but they are paid something. And you've seen a rash of players talk about holding out and not coming to camp. And honestly, I think it was a funny answer Todd Gurley gave for the ESPYs. They're just really mad about how much money these NBA players are getting. Like, NBA offseason, when the cap spike hits, there's a lot of free agents, the numbers get kind of hard to ignore. And if you're a running back on a non-guaranteed deal, watching some of those numbers go to people like couldn't be me. I'm sorry, I get it. If you're a running back and you're mad at your number because you see these NBA deals, I get it 100%. If you're a quarterback, whatever, you're just a tall kicker. It's fine.
Is it a fair comparison, though?
What do you mean?
With the NBA numbers.
Well, okay, let's do this. The revenue split for NFL is not 50-50, which it is in the NBA.
Also, there are many more players in the NFL.
What I'm saying, we'll just go to the very basic raw number of revenue split. It's not 50.
Right.
NBA's at 50. It's in the CBA. They have to be at 50.
Sounds like they got some work to do.
It sounds like, but hey, speaking of work to do, How are you going to convince billionaires to give you more money? I'd be very good. This is one I'm taking notes on because I voiced my opinion on the current leadership of the NFLPA repeatedly on this podcast and will not do so again because I'm in a pretty good mood today. However, how do I say this without being insulting correctly? I don't think they can do it. That's the nicest way I can say that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll be impressed if they do.
If they do, it may be a 27-game season.
Oh God!
If you get the owners to 50, yeah, we may never not have football.
I can see this going very poorly.
Oh yeah. You're not going to get it for nothing. It's going to get oogly. Well, the real question is now, because of the way kind of salaries are slotted and things are kind of set in stone, how effective is a holdout in 2018? Because what the last CBA did gave the teams a lot of power to fine you a lot of fucking money for not coming to camp. So unless you're willing to say I'm going to miss a game, it's kind of toothless. So right now, the local version of this story is Julio Jones. Julio Jones 2 years ago signed a 5-year deal worth a certain amount of money. The market has done what the market has done. He's making less than Josh Cribbs. He has 3 years left on the deal. From Julio's perspective, the market has adjusted. I should be compensated appropriate to the market conditions. Is a completely understandable stance. From the team, we have a deal. We can talk about it after the season. But right now, the number we're at, we've got structure, not just structural things in place for you, but things in place for the rest of the team that would preclude us from renegotiating before this season. I understand both sides. I really do. I think both sides are right. I think I always will skew player. I wish they'd just fucking pay him. But from an organizational standpoint, I do understand it. Unless Julio skips a game or two, it's kind of toothless, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah. I mean, they don't care until it really affects the season. So
the thing is, if you come in, if they do a new deal after a game, I guarantee that all those fines will be forgiven. But if you come back before, then you've either got to pay them or something else on the side.
Right. But
so if you're
feel like the team can't cave because then everyone's going to do it.
And that's the thing, is that they can't cave. And that's why I say this is the one where I hope both teams play hard. I'm cheering for everyone. I want them to figure out and make it happen, because we can't win without Julio, but he needs to be on the field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We need him.
So the narrative last year, and I love that word narrative. I'm sorry. The narrative last year, Mike, was that I was told that due to the outspoken and very public protests of extrajudicial murder of minorities at disproportionate rates by agents of the state, also known as the Anthem protest, the ratings were down. People weren't watching. The teams were losing money. Not so fast, my friend, because the ratings declined 9% in 2017. However, NBC overall ratings were down 19. CBS overall ratings were down 19. ABC overall ratings were down 15. Which means that everywhere it went down, football went down the least. People are watching less NFL. People are watching less television. And because of the complicated rights deals that are already in place, the teams made more money than ever. What people don't get is that ratings don't actually matter. That ad space is sold. The ratings matter for the next negotiation. And guess what? The number's already been set. They're not going to open negotiations like, here's how we're going to pay you less. No, my friend. By setting the market, you mean the next guy who wants that spot is willing to pay more than you're paying now. It's almost like it's a scam.
Almost.
Almost. Oh no, it's a scam. Oh, it's a scam. So when they tell you that ratings will go down, and you know it's bullshit, you can tell them to their face that that's bullshit, and you explain to them in 4 simple sentences as to why it's bullshit and why they're using empty-headed logic to make a point where they just want to say, I don't want to hear what these black people have to say. That's what they really want to say, but they feel like they can't, so they couch it in some pseudo-intellectual bullshit. Well, I'm here to point out that it's not even pseudo-intellectual. It's just plain old, grade A, American-made bullshit.
Do you think that's why their stance changed and they're not going to penalize people now?
Well, let's talk about that, because this is that bullshit, like I was saying. So when you go to camp, you have to submit an official list of your team rules. And Ravens did it, and nothing happened. I want that to be pointed out. The Ravens turned it in, and nothing happened. That's going to become very important in a second. The Dolphins turned theirs in, and they had in their provisions for suspension, contract of the team, was any player engaging in or involved with a protest during the national anthem will be subject to penalties they had monetary penalties and up to 4-game suspension. Now, the explanation from the Dolphins has been, we put it in there so that we'd have the leeway to be in compliance with the NFL's language from the announcement in May.
Sure.
Well, I'm telling you what they said. The reaction did not believe you. I believe the reaction is, we do not believe you, you need more people. I believe that's the verbatim reaction. Whole lot of fuck the Dolphins, whole lot of fuck Stephen Ross's. Guys, it was a bad look for Stephen Ross. So Stephen Ross's track record would point to like this being a truthful statement for the Dolphins, but I'm not going to sit here and defend it. Hey, you did it. You did it. You got to live with this. And so what's come of this is that the NFL and the NFLPA have agreed to suspend all penalties and continue further discussion, this time involving the NFLPA, which some would say, all of us would say, should have been done the first time. Now, what should have been done in the first place was what the fucking Ravens did. Because his NFL policy says, subject to, guess what you can choose to make your policy? No penalty. No penalty is always a fucking option. No penalty. Because the NFL says they're going to penalize the teams. They're going to give the teams a $100,000 rip each time, which is about a section of seats. So, we're going to rip you about a section of seats for each time these motherfuckers kneel, and you can pass these savings, /penalties, on to the players at your discretion. Ravens were like, nah, we off that shit. And the Dolphins were like, well, just in case.
Not a good look.
You could have said nothing. The Ravens said nothing. See how we're not talking about the Ravens and how we should be talking about how Joe Flacco is going to try some foul shit in the media to try to keep his job because Lamar Jackson is coming and apparently looks a lot better than him at camp? Yes, we should be talking about that, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the shitty policy that no one has thought about since the idiot announcement in May. No one's talked about it. I was for the first time thinking about NFL football in a sense of, holy shit, Julio's not coming to camp or he's not going to play this year. Oh my God, the Falcons are going to go 5-11. Oh my God. That's been my football thinking so far. And now I'm here talking about this shit again. And you know why I'm talking about this shit again? Because Donald fucking Trump. And you know what? I don't like talking about Donald fucking Trump on a sports podcast. But guess what? He keeps getting his fucking politics in my fucking sports. Because this week, Donald fucking Trump was proven beyond the shadow of any reasonable fucking doubt to be a compromised Russian fucking agent. I'm done with the maybes or the ifs or the looks like. Hey guys, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck and shits on your head when it flies above you while quacking, it's probably a fucking duck. So, with all that said, after a week where he's taking a battering from the right and the left on his apparent capitulation to Russia, upon the announcement of the NFL just having open discussions with the NFLPA, he fires off a tweet that says, to the effect, because I refuse to read his Twitter feed. The first thing I did when he got elected was block him on Twitter. I advise you all to do the same. To the effect of, first time they kneel should be kicked out of the game and fined a game check, second time kicked out of the league for a year. The entire reason for the May statement was to somehow capitulate to this asshole. What the NFL has failed to realize is there's no end. You could do this. And he'd be like, but they're still alive. Why haven't you killed them yet? Like, there's no end to this. As he said in an email to Jerry Jones last year, this is a topic that I always score points on. When he's embattled, he goes back to this. Every time Trump mentions the NFL and not in the spirit of they shouldn't let me buy the Bills, I'll leave them the fuck alone going on the Bills. He's only doing it because he's on his heels. And if I got to listen to him shoot off fucking missives into the night to his fucking racist followers about how NFL players aren't patriots, whatever. If that means he's closer to fucking bracelets, good for him. That's been sitting on my chest all week. Like it's getting really naked and empty. And you know what? Let's talk about the other voice that was loudest against the player making statements during the anthem. Remember Papa John's?
Who?
Ooh, Papa, your name here maybe? You have a contest. The next Papa. So for those of you who've been living under a rock, Papa John, whose real name doesn't matter, during the season said that he was uncomfortable with the kneeling and he went at Roger Goodell. However, as we've learned this offseason and last season, Roger Goodell don't go down easy. Like, he looks like a fucking clown, but Jerry Jones took shots at him, and Jerry Jones ended up paying his legal fees.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Dude, that shit ended with my man getting his raise and getting Jerry Jones and handing Jerry Jones a bill.
All right.
Papa John's came at him, and Roger's like, we're not going to have that, Papa. And severed ties. Well, Papa John tried to spin that into a you didn't not invite me, I never wanted to come type situation. And
but he was forced to use the language he did.
Well, that's what we're going to get to now. And I want to make something very clear. If the quote is if the singular quote of the Colonel said nigger, for me, that's not a fireable offense. It's the framing of the things he saw in his childhood. Read the whole story behind this. It's very strange and very weird because it was on the call with a PR firm who was there to alleviate kind of the racial tension that John had stirred up by being a racist. And
hard R.
But you got to realize is that these people's job is to come in when you've done something racist and make you seem less racist. They apparently, in their field of work, seen some racist shit. And during the course of this call, they said, "Nah, we're good.
We can't help you."
Like that. That's the larger picture I need people to see here. Like, yes, we're going to focus on the quote and possibly impugning Colonel Sanders, though black people don't fight KFC. Sorry, we just don't. I'm sorry. We don't go to KFC. It's just one of those things that stereotypes that happens to be true. We don't eat KFC. And it's one of those situations where it's like, I don't know how I... But yeah, this PR firm, whose job is to make you seem less racist, could have said, look at all these billable hours, but no, instead said, you're too far gone.
Would have been a lot of billable hours.
Like that was like, well, of course you got fired. Like, of course. Do you know what this firm does? This is what they do. And they were like, it's like a construction company being brought in, like, this job's just too big for us. You're going to need a larger firm. What? Yeah, we can't. No. You need a whole remodel, man, from the ground up. This is, Jesus, we're here to fix a shingle or two. You need to raise the land. And that's apparently what Papa John's corporation has done. He's been removed from the board. His office is no longer, has been kicked out of his own office in the Papa John's building. His name is coming off the stadium, which, did you know this? Apparently, it's not a corporate naming right. It's a personal one.
What?
He personally.
I mean, that fits with how narcissistic this guy is.
So
but,
really
wow.
Weird. Like, everything, the layers you pull back on Papa Psychopath John, they took his name off the Wall of Fame in his hometown. It's a rural town in Indiana. For those of you who don't know, the KKK started in Indiana. Small town, which name doesn't matter. Doesn't have any people from there who are famous. And no one has been on television being like, we've known John for years. John's a good one. No one's defended this asshole. No one. Like, people defended Harvey Weinstein. People defend Bill Cosby today. No one has defended Papa John's. That's shocking to me. Like, that's one of those things where you take like a long time to be like, wait a God, like, yo, this guy must be some. And that's the thing about being racist in America, is that you can be racist in America as long as people like you. Once people don't like you, racism becomes this hot button issue. Donald Sterling had been racist for a very long time. He'd been professionally racist in his housing discrimination lawsuits. But when he said something racist, because people didn't like him, it was time for him to go. And by go, I mean like make $2.5 billion something out the door. Like, I don't know what canceling or go have to mean anything in 2018. Anyway, it's just funny to me. Not even funny. It's something other than funny to watch it happen in real time. Because everyone who's against these players saying, oh, these players, they're disrespecting the troops and they're not Americans, it's turned out that they're pretty much racist. It almost makes you wonder if that was the real reason.
Nah, couldn't be.
Can we talk about the NBA for a second?
If we must.
Can we talk about the greatest season of all time, which is now apparently the NBA offseason? The last two, there's a video, I put it on my Facebook page, I'll share it in the MTR group. The last 2 years have been batshit insane as far as player movement.
I literally forgot Dwayne Wade was on the Cavs. I was like, oh yeah, that happened.
Yo, like 2 years ago, Isaiah Thomas was talking about back up the Brinks truck. He's on the mid-level exception in fucking Denver now. Like, what has happened in the NBA? So let's talk about the three, for my money, biggest stories of the offseason so far. Number 3, Boogie to the Warriors. Now, it was a big story when it happened, and it kind of died down. And it got bigger again this week because Boogie put out a video where basically he told all the haters to suck his dick. And I was like, wait a second, Boogie. Like, he's like, I knew this movie would obsess people. And that's also funny. We'll talk about this in a second. Were you upset when Boogie signed with the Warriors? You like, this is the end of civility?
No, I'm just really interested on a lot of different levels to see this. Like, they're going to be good, and that's not why I wouldn't want to play them. They're going to talk so much shit. It's going to be unbelievable. Between him and Draymond. But
that's also an issue, too, because, like, as certain Warriors point out, they went through a lot of stuff behind the scenes this year, brother, for everything for wrestling. But, like, is Boogie Cousins the element to add to a semi-combustible locker room? Because, you know, you and I'm wearing my Boogie Against the World t-shirt right now.
I think they'll be able to.
But I've also read some of those insider reports out of those cities that he's been. Sometimes it's the team's fault, but Boogie is a lot of the problem too.
Yeah, but I think they'll be able to handle it. I trust Kerr. I think Kerr will be able to keep the locker room. They want to win.
Well, that's the other thing is that Kerr's been injured. Kerr's physical health is in question. Like, the guy hasn't gotten through a season in 3 years. Is Kerr going to be on the bench all year? I think that's an underrated thing. Also, I am about sick and goddamn tired of hearing about how imbalanced the NBA is. Hey, kids, you know how many Western Conference teams won 50 games last year? 2. 4 in the East. So, for me, I think the imbalance is perceived because the best teams are in the West. The Warriors and Rockets are far and away the best teams. But the Blazers got swept by a 6 seed. Like, let's be real about what we're having this conversation about.
People just want to complain.
The Warriors only made the finals because the Rockets missed literally 27 3-pointers. Which, like, the further we get from that game, the more I'm like, holy shit. The Warriors are magicians.
They are.
Some angels in the outfield type shit. Like it's 27 missed threes is too many missed threes. I'm sorry. It's too many. And the East, Kawhi Leonard's on the Raptors, a Raptors team that won 60 games last year. Like, guys.
And got swept.
Yeah, they got that Bron. The Celtics went to the conference finals and are getting Kyrie and Gordon Hayward back.
Yeah, they didn't have their two best players.
I'm not willing to this whole, we need to stop the conference's basketball, blah, 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 blah. No one was saying that when the Jazz were walking through the West in the 90s. That's a dirty little secret there. The West wasn't very good in the 90s.
It was not at all.
Story number 2. I already touched on it. Kawhi and the Raptors. Now,
yay!
I know you're a Spurs fan. How have you spun this to EA for you? This is amazing. I didn't expect it yet.
What? It's over. We're done. No more Kawhi drama. We're done. Get back to basketball.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Start planning their comeback.
That was the best Spurs fan reaction ever. Oh my God, it's over. He's gone.
We kicked him out the country.
Wow. How do you feel about the DeMar DeRozan acquisition?
Look, normally maybe I have a little pause, but Pop knows what he's doing.
All faith in Pop, huh?
Yeah.
Well, how do you see it working out for Kawhi up north? Because he's gone from being a great player in the West to being, like, by no real close comparison, the best player in his conference.
I think he'll be fine. I think he's going to – is this his second NBA team?
Yeah.
So he's going to see and learn a lot because it's not going to be like it was in San Antonio. And I think he's kind of taken some of that for granted. But
I think that might be good for him. I don't think and that's the things that we all assume that, like, the San Antonio way, because it's so rich and because it's so well known, is what everyone wants. I think that we don't know what Kawhi is. I think that maybe we assumed because he's quiet, he wanted that.
No, I'm not saying whether he wanted it or not, but like the way they ran things, it afforded him the ability, or I think it gave him a lot more opportunities to play both sides of the floor and not be as burdened. Like, I think he was super efficient and wasn't taking that many shots and still scoring pretty high and being a huge offensive threat. And he's going to have to shoulder a lot more, I think, in Toronto, and it's going to...
Well, you say that, but also he never played with a Kyle Lowry. He played with like a declining Tony Parker, who we're going to talk about in a very quick second. And who is the George Hill? Not George Hill.
Danny Green?
Danny Verde, yeah. But no, Patty Mills.
I think it'll be good for him.
I think having Kyle Lowry would be super good for him.
And you know what? It's 1 year, so he's going to show out. Get a max
that's
deal.
The thing is, people are saying, you're just definitely going to leave. Paul George just showed us you don't necessarily have to leave.
But he might.
And before we leave the Kawhi thing, I do want to talk about something. So one of the reasons Kawhi apparently wanted to leave is because Tony Parker was publicly calling him out.
Was he?
The fact that Tony, yes. Oh, Tony was like, my injury's worse than yours, and I'm back.
Oh, that was
this
good.
This is the same Tony Parker who slept with Brent Barry's wife and broke up 2 marriages. We really let Tony Parker rock like this? Really?
Apparently. I don't know.
It couldn't be me, man. Like, I feel like we should take Tony Parker more to task. And we'll see what kind of man he is, because he's going to Charlotte.
This is like his Twilight contract, right? I mean, he's been hurt. He's getting towards the end of his career. It's fine.
Look, Ginobili's still kicking around, man. I don't know what's what. Now let's talk about the number one story in the offseason. And no, it's not the fact that the 2012 Thunder, that LeBron James beat in the finals, had 3 of the last 5 MVPs on the team. No, it's not about that. It's not about the NBA awards that no one gave a good goddamn about, and they should move to the end of the regular season before the playoffs. It's about the king going west. LeBron James is now a Laker.
King of the West.
Mike, it's so funny because we all acted like it was a surprise. And in actuality, this has been like the worst kept secret, the most bandied about rumor in the NBA since literally All-Star Game 2017.
You mean when didn't LeBron like clear out the space so he could go there with the
No,
trade?
that was we'll get to that in a second. But yes, it's been the open secret that LeBron's going to LA in 2 years since 2017. It's just been that's it. And when it happened, it was very nondescript. There was no gingham shirt on ESPN. There was not even a story in Sports Illustrated. I think next time we're all going to get a text. But this time it was just a tweet from his management company saying LeBron James listing off his accolades, including I think it's 4 gold medals. Good job, Ron. And said we're going to the Lakers. And what's stunning about the deal is not that he went to the Lakers, it's that he gave them a 3-year commitment. That was the one thing that one of the things that kind of hamstrung Cleveland on his second trip there was that he only signed those 1-year deals with a 1-year player option. And what that effectively did was say, you got to build now or I could leave at any moment. LeBron giving him 3 years, the 4th year as a player option, saying, and he apparently said this to Magic Johnson in their 3-hour meeting, me signing with you is not predicated on a deal you make this offseason. And I think, we'll talk about that in a second too. I think it's really interesting because when you look at the makeup of the team now through that lens, it gets a lot more interesting because they've signed 6 1-year deals since the signing of LeBron. Next year, Anthony Davis is a restricted free or unrestricted free agent. And the Anthony Davis sweepstakes is next year. The Kawhi sweepstakes is next year. You would have to give up your young core to trade for Kawhi. Now you can just get him in the open market. Maybe you don't want a Kawhi. Maybe you want Anthony Davis. Maybe you want one of the many guards who to come free. I think that this year they could win. They could LeBron James wins 50 games. Sorry, that's how the world works. He's going to win 50, which is going to be good enough for a 3 or 4 seed in the West. I think that matchup wise, if depending on what happens with Carmelo and how he looks, I like them in a matchup against the Rockets. Just because they lost a reason, they have no answer for LeBron on the wing. No,
we want Melo in LA?
No. The Melo's apparently going to Houston. That's the rumor. And so I'm trying to see. What I've been saying to people is that if the playoffs happen and LeBron's a 3 seed and the Rockets are a 2 seed, I can see LeBron making the conference finals. And if they make conference finals with this ragtag group of nobodies, dear Lord, that free agency is going to be insane. Because LeBron's guaranteed you, I'm coming back. And you can't convince me the 1-year deals weren't to fuck you to the owner. You can't convince me. Sorry. Each one was, Dango was like, you really don't like me, do you? No, I do not. No, I do not. It's great. It's been fun. What have you thought about the coverage, about the Kobe stands kind of like solidifying their block of stupidity?
Ridiculous. Just enjoy. Just watch your team. Stop talking.
It's so wild because he'll never be one of us. Like, fuck you, man. He just saved your. When's the last time you smelled like the playoffs?
Look,
you're guaranteed to.
They're building a ball franchise. They're going to be fine.
I'm not speaking to you. I'll say this. And this is something that LeBron said he wanted to do when he came back from Miami. He said he wanted to build a winning culture in Cleveland. I don't think he did that. I don't think he did. But what they've given him, by giving him 4 years and by coming in with this young team, he has an opportunity to build something in LA. When he looks at these young kids, Bronny's 14. They're not that much younger. They're not that much older than his son. I see him looking at this as Luke Walton is in his fucking draft class.
Really?
They're in the same draft class. You know how infuriating that is to me?
How many seasons did Walton play?
Too many. So, side note, guys. So it's something I don't think I've revealed this in the podcast. I hate the Walton family. Some people say, oh, you hate the adult males. No, I hate them all. And Luke, I hate a very special amount. And the fact that he's gonna be lauded as some sort of super genius for winning 50 games with LeBron fucking James is gonna fucking infuriate me next year. I just want everyone to be alert for that. The Luke Walton praise is going to drive me insane. Sorry, I wanted to get that off my chest. That's my truth. But I'm here for it, and I want to clarify something right now. I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm not one of you people. I'm a LeBron fan. We may be cheering alongside each other. I will never be one of you. Ever. Act like you got some sense. Keep your Kobe shit to yourself, and we'll all be fine. Let's collect some rings.
Tell them how you really feel.
Look, man, I don't want to be mistaken for one of these people who have common interests with me for the next 3 to 4 years.
I'm just going to start sending you a bunch of Lakers merch.
Yep, you spend a bunch of money on things I'm going to throw away. Who wins? Who? You showed me. Last but not least, second to last actually, UFC, Daniel Cormier won the heavyweight title and immediately was challenged by Brock Lesnar and cut a grinning promo in the center of the octagon. Now, UFC faithful, some of them have taken the stance of, this is not what our sport's supposed to be. We are fighting. But people who ever sold anything to anyone ever are like, this is a great job. This is a great way to build hype and build anticipation. What happens, Mike, because we're now fully ensconced, not just because Brock Lesnar is involved, but because of everything around it, in the pro wrestlification of the UFC. It happened in boxing, and it's happening here. And I got to tell you, it feels like it's going to be good for business for me because they've proven they can't, unlike pro wrestling where you can say, this is going to be our top guy for the next 5 years. He's going to be here every week. He's going to do what we ask. He's going to win the match you tell him to win. The UFC guy is like, I hope you don't get knocked out. Like, that's basically what you got.
Look, WWE is successful for a reason. I mean, take what works. These promos work. It builds excitement, gets fans on board. I mean, come on.
You see, like I've seen real anger out of some of these UFC quote unquote diehards. I'm like, don't you want what you love to grow? Don't you want there to be more of what you love? Then,
no,
hey man, learn to love its growth. And it's so wild to me because if you wanted to point out a very pro wrestling thing that happened, you point out the fact that the longest running UFC heavyweight champion was knocked out with one punch by an undersized Daniel Cormier in the first round, and then Brock Lesnar was in place to not just storm the ring, but also have a promo cut on him. That's more pro wrestling than anything. But the biggest story about Cormier for me is the redemption. It's cool because Daniel Cormier is a guy who, and I know you don't follow Olympic wrestling because you're not one of the cool 2% of people who do. But he's a guy who missed one Olympic team, who made the next Olympic team, but then got sick from cutting weight so couldn't compete. This is a guy who was looking for something, some grasping life, something we could do, and he found fighting. His partner was the heavyweight champion, but he never wanted to fight his partner. So what did he do? He cut the weight to light heavyweight and became the most dominant light heavyweight possible, except for the fact that John Jones is a freak of nature and a force of and put his lights out. Now we've revealed that John Jones was on cocaine and probably PEDs. And now you say, well, wait a second. So how do you build Daniel Cormier? And because of that knockout win, because of that UFC heavyweight title, you say champion. That's redemption, Mike. That's the story America is built on.
I love it.
But who gets redemption?
Too many people.
I think that's a good point. I think redemption is something that you earn. Because in the last few weeks, Hulk Hogan was welcomed back into the WWE home. This show is always and will always be a fuck Hulk Hogan zone, but I want to have a conversation, if at all, quickly about this. When I read Hulk's comments, coupled with the comments that he'd made to his son after his son had killed one of his friends in a vehicular manslaughter incident, he said, "We're going to live forever, brother. And if we die, we're going to come back. Just hope we don't come back as black guys." Hulk Hogan's a violent racist, and apparently coming out of the apology was not, I've grown as a man. It was, I didn't know I was being taped. I'm sorry I embarrassed the company. I'm sorry I embarrassed myself.
Sorry I got caught.
That's basically what it was. Because the views and opinions he espoused weren't just saying, he didn't just say nigger once. He said about how low value and horrible thing that people are. And there are people who say, oh, well, think about things you say in private. Hey, bro, you just told it yourself. What the fuck?
Right. What are you saying in private?
I know what I say in private. I also know that I have hundreds of hours of my voice recorded. Are there things that I've said onto a microphone that I've regretted or that I said, I wish I could take back? Hell yeah. Am I grateful that in my 20s I didn't have a microphone? Hell yeah. But, and I'm not one of those people who say that when I heard the Colt tape, I could never, ever have seen him making amends. I could never see myself forgiving him. I could have. But forgiveness and reconciliation requires work. And I've watched for 3 years. Every time Hulk Hogan's talked about this, he's made it about himself. He made himself the victim. He's never once addressed the community that he discussed in that tape. He's never once owned the words. So people say, oh, man, you're just being hard on Hulk. You were never going to forgive him. There was an avenue. He had 3 years to show me something, anything. But to show me that when people show you who they are, believe them. And Kofi Kingston and the New Day put out a wonderful statement. Basically, how do we feel? Indifferent. We are not happy or sad or angry or resentful. Who WWE puts in the Hall of Fame is completely and totally up to the company. And from a career standpoint, there is no argument on whether or not Hogan should have his place. We have no problem with his reinduction in the slightest degree. It is impossible to even begin to mention the history and about evolution of this business without mentioning his name and accolades. Which makes sense. For me, the reinstatement, whatever. I don't think you had to have announced it. You could have just done it quietly. Same way you pulled him out. Quietly. But Hall of Fame, that's fine. What I don't need is Hulk Hogan on my television. I don't need him marketed to me. I don't need him speaking in 2018. A lot of the talent echoed Kofi and Biggie and Xavier Woods' statements. Titus O'Neil released his own statement where he went even further, basically saying that fuck his apology. This all comes back to the lot of fun I got to have with Nice Try Terry a couple weeks ago on the podcast. But yeah, he was always going to come back to the Hall of Fame. That was never going to be. I mean, I don't think it was ever really a forever thing. But the question was he going to do the work to get there before they put him back? And the answer is no. So fuck Hulk Hogan, and in case he doesn't get it, fuck Terry Bollea. More redemption. Because Greg Hardy just got a UFC contract. Those who don't remember, Greg Hardy is a reprehensible human being who beat a woman after throwing her on a pile of guns, where this wasn't actually suspected until the pictures came to light as to what he had done to her and what people actually thought a man-handing woman looked like. I don't know, but once they saw it, the NFL moved swiftly eventually.
I'm glad he decided to change his image by going and beating people up professionally.
Well, that's kind of the beginning of the push, because he's got 2 articles now from MMA sites and one from, I think, a major publication in SI saying about how much he's changed and how much his life has grown and blah, blah, blah. You got people like Dana White saying, oh, everyone deserves a second chance. He's had his second chance. He's blown his second chance. And why does everyone get a second chance?
Right?
Why do you get a second chance for beating a woman? What do you mean second chance? No one killed him. He didn't do a day in jail. But you want me to feel sympathy for what he's gone through, for his trials and tribulations, for his return to quote-unquote prominence? Fuck him. Fuck you and fuck Greg Hardy. I'm sorry. I can't do it. And I'm probably oversimplifying the piece, because there is a very much a real conversation. And it's not a celebration of Greg Hardy at all. I think some of the MMA sites were, but the larger piece I read wasn't, and I don't want to color it as such. But it's so weird to even have to cover it. What if we said nothing about Greg Hardy? What if you let him to toil in anonymity? Let him fight his fights. Why are we covering his quest? Unless it's some sort of chronic offender database and that's why they're keeping track of him, I'm okay. I don't really need to know. I'd rather be surprised one day, I'm like, Greg Hardy's won a fucking UFC title? I'd rather be surprised than to have it thrown in my face. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So
I don't know. I think we're a little too easy for forgiveness for some people because they might be good at something, but it's like, there are other people good at stuff. We won't miss you. That's fine.
So who gets redemption? Because the biggest story out of All-Star Week was not even a commissioner sniping with modern-day Babe Ruth. It was Josh Hader, a relief pitcher out of, I think, Milwaukee. I don't actually care where he's from. I don't care where he plays baseball. But a lot of tweets came out, not like jokes and not like lyrics of songs, like KKK and Kill All Fags and a lot of niggers. And this was the first All-Star game where the MLB allowed you to have your cell phone on the field with you, and they rescinded that policy quickly. The Hader family were wearing his jersey in the stands. Once this broke during the game, they were given different All-Star jerseys they wore over them without a name on the back. And Josh Hader's come out and said, this is who I was. I was a stupid kid saying stupid things at 17. And, we'll get to it. Don't you worry. We're going to get there. And I've grown as a person since then. He even touted out 2 teammates of color to vouch for him, which I thought was the most disgusting reprehensible.
Were these his friends that are minorities?
Hey, man, that's not the Josh I know. And last night during the Milwaukee's game, when his name was announced, he got a standing ovation. What's redemption? Because everyone knows he's a kid. Hey, he was a kid. Tamir Rice was 12. A teen was killed this week, and he was named in the paper as a 15-year-old black man.
Yep.
17 years old's 1 year from voting.
Some of us were in college at 17.
This is not youthful indiscretion. And by the way, let's have that conversation really quick.
How do we even know he changed? I mean, come on.
Oh, we'll get to that. But why is being a virulent racist accepted stage of white people growing up? Puberty, racism, college.
He's just in his racism phase. He'll grow out of it soon. It's fine.
I'll go through it. What is this? Some sort of white thing I didn't know about? Please, at DPalm660, all white people go through if we're testing the racism water stage. I just didn't know, because if you listen to the media coverage about this, that's what you think would happen. You tripped and fell. I was racist for 2.5 years, but glad that cleared up. Look at club foot. What? He's a part-time racist? Occasional hater? He lights crosses ironically?
It's okay, though.
It's not like he's 45. It's not like he's 45 and has a long history of outreach in the diverse communities and doing work. Hey, guess what? If you were dumb in the past, and I can see you've done the work to be the person you present yourself as now, probably have to take care of the coals for it. My past is I've been a piece of shit before. I've never been not like this, Jesus Christ. But ghosting on girls, I've done that shit. That's just childish. I shouldn't have done it. But I've grown and I've changed, and I tricked a poor woman into marrying me. I just think that without works, I'm allowed to ask, why do you assume you're changed? People say, oh, you don't know how he is now. Well, why would I assume he's not that? You don't know his heart. I know what I saw. Where do you get these heart x-rays from? Let me get these glasses. My glasses don't do shit. But apparently, we don't know his heart.
People are still...
I bet you didn't erase the bone in his body.
The racist bone is gone.
I broke that one. Had that removed in 93. What are you talking about? What the fuck is this? Because he throws a baseball good? But then what's redemption? And where's the line? Because I'll always contend that white people apologia for racism is because they're for the grace of God and maybe some drinks and saying what I really think, there go I. I honestly think there's a lot of that in there. That's where the societal forgiveness comes from, is because, well, we all white people think this, we just can't say it.
But that line just moves and moves. I mean, people are still mad at Vic, and Vic like actually
Vic went to jail.
And yeah, he went to jail. He works with organizations that are against cruelty to animals. I mean, he's put his money where his mouth is, as far as I can tell. People are still mad.
So Luke Heimlich, a lot of you are listening saying, oof, I'm sorry I made you Google this.
Yeah, that was fun.
A lot of you are saying, what's a Luke Heimlich? Glad you asked. Because I want you to note that we've done a little escalation here on the podcast. We've gone from Daniel Cormier's inability to come above the barrier of, getting your ass kicked by John Jones. And we've talked about Hulk Hogan being racist in public. We've talked about this pitcher whose name I've already forgotten being more consistently racist in public. And now we're talking about a name you've never heard before. You never heard this name because this guy's a nobody. The reason nobody is because he's a child molester. Let's stop. Luke Heimlich is a baseball player who is a pitcher, and he pled guilty to molesting a younger child, a younger relative.
A 6-year-old.
He pled guilty to sexually abusing his niece in 2012. It was discovered, he pled when he was 15 years old. It was only discovered in June 2017 after he'd already been named Pac-12 Pitcher of the Year. In an interview at the time before the draft, he said he denied being guilty, saying the plea deal was a decision that he and his parents made for the best option move forward as a family. Every interview and discussion with the child or parents refute that. And he didn't get drafted. He didn't get drafted.
Good.
And now there's been an SI soft color profile about the trial tribulation of Luke fucking Heimlich. And Kansas City Royals manager saying that hey, maybe there's more to it than this. Dayton Moore is the manager there and says, the truth of the matter is, I was hoping as a GM that somebody else would draft and sign him.
Why?
He's become the supporter of this kid. He said this club's giving people second chances, and then he's earned the opportunity. He says, He said about Luke Heimlich, we were very interested in Luke last year, and obviously this accusation came out. So I immediately put everything on pause, as we should, to gather information. He went out and performed this year. He not only did he achieve athletic excellence, he achieved academic excellence on the way. He went undrafted all 30 teams. I think teams are still trying to find out more information. They're trying to come to grips with this. This is something that happened with their family. Their family has dealt with this. Their family remains very close today, all parties involved. It's a very complex deal. It's not a complex deal. Prosecutors charged Heimlich with 2 counts of molestation from when the victim was 4 to 6. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of molestation in 2011 when he was 15 years old.
Seems pretty cut and dry to me.
Even back then, the mother of the child says, he said he didn't do it. I understand, I get it, but I heard it come out of her mouth, and I know the way she was raised and what she was allowed to see. There's no doubt in my mind that he did what she said he did for 2 years. Even more stunning. The guy from the Royals is the outspoken critic of pornography. He's one of those moral high horses. So, and it reminds me of Laramie Tunsil. Do you remember Laramie Tunsil? Yeah. Laramie Tunsil had a picture of him tweeted out before the draft of him wearing a marijuana bong gas mask. He dropped from 6th overall projected to 13th, costing him an estimated $7 million. He was honest about what happened afterwards. He said, I made a mistake. That happened. He said, I was immature. John Gruden was on air. John Gruden is now the head coach of the Raiders, by the way. Said that this made Tunsil unreliable. Todd McShay said that his admission of what happened was a sign of maturity. And Mike Mayock said I wouldn't have drafted him. Heimlich pled guilty to molesting a family member.
But no moral questions. That's fine. No character issues. It's all right.
Who gets redemption? Well, let's be fair. He wasn't drafted. Let's be fair.
But they wanted to.
No team went out there and did this to themselves. But the fact that one manager, one GM is willing to say publicly if we wanted to means that that's not just he's not the only one saying it. The only one crazy is not the only one crazy enough to say it.
Are they that hard up for prospects? I mean, no other pitchers? I mean, come on, guys.
There've got to be lines. And the line moves. It moves because Greg Hardy hit a woman. And it doesn't really matter. It moves because, those are just tweets of a kid who was just, a little misguided, and he's going through his racist phase. What about Hulk Hogan? Also a racist phase. His lasted much longer. Still trying to come out of it. He just molested one niece.
Just one.
Where's the line? Who gets redemption?
Don't take money. That's a line.
Well, that was fun. Not the end of it, but most of it. Mike, do you have anything you want to say to commemorate the 100th episode of your favorite podcast?
Keep doing what you're doing. Get 100 more. Been enjoying the pod, regular listener. Yeah, keep it up.
See, I called it your favorite podcast so you could be mean, but you decided to be nice, and I don't feel good about that. Thank you for listening. This has been Unanimous Decision Podcast. I'm your host, D-Palm. Follow me on Twitter, @DPalm66. Follow the show on Twitter, @UDPod. Follow the entire MTR Network, @the MTR Network. That was your show. This is your outro. See you guys for number 100.